We are live. Welcome everybody. We're going to give it about a second or two to get people to hop on and join us. Welcome to this very special Women Wednesday. Um, for those of you that don't know, because we have some special things going on today, we do this show every single Wednesday, 12:30. We usually air on Facebook group and YouTube. But today we're lucky to be on LinkedIn Live too. So I hope you guys are tuning in, and I'm excited for today's show because it is a very special show today. First of all, it's New Year's Eve, right? New Year's Eve, something like that. We're about to welcome a new year. So this is about the changes that we need to make in our lives. This is about approaching this new year with gusto and with really great things and visions for ourselves. So I'm so excited for this day. Also, this Women Wednesday show is going to be streaming from our LinkedIn company page starting next week. So we have our, and I'll share it also on my personal page, but just so you guys know, please follow that page as well on LinkedIn, LinkedIn.com/company/United Latinas. And it's also on the flyer there. So we have a group of women today that are surely going to provide some knowledge, some inspirations, and help us really approach 2021, have a great conversation about what we need to be doing going forward. What must we do? You know, what intentions must we have? How steadfast must we be? How diligent, how unwavering in the pursuit of our dreams and our hopes and our companies, right? So today's live is about love. It's about inspiration. It's about welcoming a new year. And if you guys have any questions, please throw them in the comments. I think I'll get some of them, they come in through the comment section. So we want it to be interactive. But now I want to introduce to you our women from Women Wednesdays today for this awesome panel. So first, I'm going to introduce Denise Sole Cox. For those of you that don't know, let me bring her in.
Hello.
Yes, Denise is a speaker. She's a documentarian on the subject of Latinidad and our sense and need of belonging, which is such a critical subject and much more. Like, she's a mom of two. She's everything. She's everything. So great subject matter we're going to have. Also, I want to welcome Cynthia M. Ruiz. Cynthia is part Cherokee. She's part Latina. She's so spiritually inspiring. She's an author. She works for the city. She is involved, engaged, and definitely a leader and a mentor and just a beautiful human being. So I'm so excited to welcome Cynthia and Rocio. Rocio is a speaker. She's a leadership breakthrough coach, an author, a trainer, an overcomer, a fighter. And for those of you that haven't heard the full story with her, we did an episode last week, actually, for Women Wednesday, where we talked and she shared her full story. So hope you guys tune in for that. So thank you, ladies. I'm so excited to have you guys on.
Pleasure to be here.
Yay. Denise, we'll start with you. Kind of share. This is about 2021, right? And what we need to be doing in every aspect, in mindset, in business, however you want to approach it. Like, first, give us a little bit of background on you and your project Enye and all that stuff.
Yeah, so thanks so much, Sandra, for always getting together the coolest people. I'm so happy to be here amongst so many amazing women. And so I appreciate being invited and included in this. And so I am one of the co-founders of Project Enye, and I started it, I feel it was about 8 years ago that in just a few days, I decided to make a movie that had been on my heart to make for 17 years. And the thing that's important to note is that I had no experience with filmmaking. I had no training. There was nothing. I hadn't read a book or anything, like nothing. I just had this big idea. And for 17 years, I didn't allow myself, for all the reasons that stop us, I didn't allow myself to just give it a try. And Anyway, January 1st, 8 years ago, I decided, you know what, I'm sick of this talking about it and I'm going to be about it. And I gave myself 1 year to make something significant happen. And if I hadn't made significant progress in making the film, then I was never going to talk about it again, which is to me the worst sentence ever, because it was my favorite thing to talk about: identity, belonging, and Latinidad. So I made significant progress. A few years later, the film came out. And then it began to win awards and started a speaking career for myself over the last 4 years, which is kind of remarkable. I also started a podcast and was named one of the top 6 Latina podcasters over Hispanic Heritage Month. And I'm working on a book and also my second film right now, which is really a life that came from one single decision. And if I had to impart anything to all of you who are listening right now, is that it is as simple as deciding. And obviously there's lots that goes with it, but the first thing is to make that decision. And then you take the next step and the next step. And as long as we can keep it simple and get the proper support, because there's all kinds of cultural reasons that hold specifically Latinas back in actually reaching their dreams, then you're going to be great. And you're going to fulfill on that thing that's on your heart, because we need you to fulfill on that thing that's on your heart.
Yes. Thank you so much for that, because that's what this is about, fulfilling the things that are bearing on our heart. So, Cynthia, give us a background on you.
Well, first of all, I start everything with gratitude. So, Sandra, I want to express my gratitude and amazing that I'm connecting with, so thank you so much. So I'm a professor, author, executive coach. I don't actually work for the city. I know you mentioned I work for the city. I'm actually president of the city's pension fund, which right now we have a $20 billion portfolio. So I love Denise's story because, as I said, I'm a best-selling author, and I have 4 books. And when I first got the idea of writing a book, I didn't even know where to start. I had never even met an author. So I said, you know what? I'm going to do this. So I just figured it out. It wasn't easy, and it took me a long time, but I'm just like, I have something to say. So the name of my first book is actually Finding Sane Relationships in a Crazy World. People think it's a relationship book, but it's really not. Because I believe the most important relationship you could have is with yourself. Mm-hmm. And once you love yourself and you're happy and whole, all the relationships in your life become better. I also have a book around healing from sexual trauma. 10 authors got together. It's called Yo También, Stories of Healing and Hope. And so we're sharing our stories of how we heal from sexual trauma. So I agree with Denise. You just get the idea and you have to execute. But part of that execution is doing away with your fears, figuring it out, never giving up. So my message is really anything is possible. And as we end 2020, because we all know this has been a crazy year, what I recommend to people is declutter your life. What do I mean by decluttering your life? Well, 2 things. Obviously, mentally declutter. So release all of the bad experiences and issues you've had in 2020, but also declutter your surroundings. Last couple of days, believe it or not, I've been cleaning because, cleaning and just purging and getting rid of stuff because I want to go into 2021 refreshed and with a clean slate. So thank you so much for having me, and I'm sure we'll continue this conversation.
Okay. Thank you so much for being here. And yes, it's about starting this new year with a clean slate. It's been a rough year, some highs, some lows, some in-betweens, but clean slate, guys, clean slate going into the new year. And I love that idea. Rocio, tell us a bit about you.
Wow, I'm an author, speaker, trainer, and inventor, and I am that wild child who everybody told it's impossible for you to achieve what you desire. And if it's possible for one, it's possible for all, and that's what I truly believe. If this chica who was running around barefoot without a hope in the world in extreme adversity can make it to where I've made it. Anything and everything is possible for anyone who desires to go through it. I believe that we also must declutter, like you said, Cynthia, declutter our mind, declutter our emotions, declutter our beliefs that hold us back. And when we become even more self-aware of what's driving, who's really driving our car, our boat, whatever it is that we're doing, then we can really take charge of our lives. 2020 has only been an extraordinary experience for all of us who are willing to take a look, be grateful for everything, be grateful for the fact that we're alive. I was one of those who got COVID. I'm grateful to be here now, and it was rough. And those moments of seeing, hey, what's really good about this? What did I get to accomplish in 2021? I was flying from point A to point B prior to COVID and 50 events and meetings a week. And then I had an opportunity to sit down and focus and take a look at my life. Where am I going? What am I doing? What does this mean? How do I make an even greater impact in this world? And how do I continue to develop products that help individuals? This year, we have Unstoppable Imparable in Spanish. We also have Ripple Effects that we'll be launching this year, and the Mind Shift game to help people transform from where they're at to where they want to be, powerfully building up courage, confidence, the power that they need to step into their vision the way that we know we all can. So 2021, it will be on fire, and it is for all of us, right?
I love it. I love it. This is, I'm already inspired. This is just what we needed for today. Let's go. I love that you both mentioned gratitude, right? Because we have to be grateful for those little things. What is, and I'll just kind of go in the way, same way order we did, but what is one word that really describes your gratitude for 2020? And then a statement about what are you grateful for 2021? What hasn't come yet that you know and you feel you're hopeful for and grateful for?
Well, one thing is just the pause, like the great pause. I'm so grateful. I was on fire for 3 years and I was so wrapped up in that life and the opportunities, and a lot fell away. And I would say one of them is my connection to my family and myself. So grateful for the pause to get back to my husband and my children. And that grounding has been amazing. And that's what I'm taking into next year. So I'm doing a lot of readjusting because it's a real identity shift to go from, just doing results, constant producing, to what my new learned thing is allowing and having pulling, or instead of pushing, having it come in. So that's kind of where I'm at right now.
I love that.
And so for me, gratitude is really part of my daily practice. So I have a spiritual practice that I do every day. It's gratitude, meditation, and prayer. So those three things combined keep me grounded every single day. So gratitude for me is the first thing I start off with in the morning. I wake up and the very first thing before I even get out of bed, I do my gratitude list mentally. And, I'm grateful to be alive. I'm grateful to have a bed to sleep in. I live in Los Angeles, where we're the homeless capital of the world. So having a roof over my head, I am grateful for everything. And when you have that attitude of gratitude, it really spreads throughout your life. And guess what? When you live from a place of gratitude, the universe gives you more things to be grateful for. So I am a big believer in gratitude, and that I do it on a daily basis as part of my practice. And so going into 2021, I am really grateful to really be able to expand my platform and really I wrote a mission statement for my life, and my mission statement is to be a beneficial presence on this planet. So like Denise, instead of pushing, I've surrendered. And so every day, part of my gratitude, Creator, help me be a beneficial presence on this planet, and then I flow with it.
Beautiful. Beautiful. And I'd say for me, 2020, my word was surrender. Surrender to what is, surrender to life, surrender to what is life asking of me now, And then looking into 2021 is moving out of cadence. We move out of cadence, life, business, people, individuals that we lead. And in just being so blessed. I'm probably one of the most selfish people you'll ever know. I'm like, I like my time for me in the morning. It's like, I like to think, I like to meditate before I even get out of bed, to really look at my day, having that success ritual. What are our success rituals? Because everything is success or it's not, right? When we look at it from that perspective and saying it's leading us somewhere, do we want it to be intentional about everything and anything that we're doing? And for me, it's exercise and it's reading, it's listening to positive affirmations and videos and audio and anything and everything I get my hands on, and getting myself centered and focused. Because unless I'm centered and focused and aligned with myself, I have nothing to give anyone. I must first give to me before I can give to anyone else. So 2021, moving out of cadence and making sure that I continue to stay in alignment and making that mindfulness practice and making sure that I am present every step of the way.
Amen. I love that. That's so beautiful. How do you feel? I think one thing that I've seen a lot is people having trouble with identifying their why, right? And the what, I think probably for all of us here, we've already kind of identified a lot of that. What advice would you give to somebody that's really trying to identify how they're going to pursue 2021? Anyone?
I'll jump in there.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the things is making sure that this is what we wanted to do. Too many times we're following mom's dream, brother's dream, sister's, whoever's dream, to really re-look at ourselves and say, what would I do here now? And I had that moment, Sandra, 11 years ago, when I had come down with a brain tumor and decided, I'm like, what would I do here now? If this is the last day of my life, if this is the last moment of my life, how would I live my life? Up until then, I was chasing money. I was chasing somebody else's dreams, somebody else's ideas of who I should be and what I should do. And in that moment, I said, what really makes my heart sing is to lead people, to watch them, to be touched, moved, and inspired, them reaching their goals. That's what really makes me come alive every single day. And it's taking a step back and looking, why am I doing what I'm doing? And is this really what I wanted to do? Because we get lost within them. We get lost in other people's expectations to start looking, is it where I want to go? Because the dream unfulfilled ends up being the last at the end of the day.
Well, thank you for asking that question, Sandra, because I have a program called Becoming the CEO of Your Life, where I teach business at a graduate level. So I've taken business principles and applied them to your daily life for personal development. And one of the things I teach people is to develop a mission statement for your life, which is really your why. What is your purpose? And most people don't even ask themselves, what is their purpose? What is their why? And what brings them passion and joy? And if you are not living a life of joy and purpose and passion, then make different choices. If you're unhappy with your life, you have the power to choose. And so choose a life where you feel passion, where you feel purpose, where you feel joy, because that's what life is really all about.
Mm-hmm. I love that. Definitely. Denise, any thoughts on that?
I'm just like marinating on the things. It's interesting. What I would add, and I kind of feel like my work is very simple. How can you align most with what your heart desires? And then I help people support them in listening to themselves, because I believe everybody knows their own truth and how to get where they need to go. And I agree with both of these amazing women. It comes across as very simple, and I guess if I could echo anything, it would be it's because it is. And sometimes I know for myself, the times where I've struggled the most is where I've made it hard the most. Mm-hmm. And we can choose to see this however we want. And so my question would be, what about if there was another way, and would you be willing to see it that way?
I love that. Yeah, I mean, like, we have to be open to all of these things, and we have to be willing to embrace change and difficult circumstances, and have that diligent spirit that is really finite, right? We need to understand what we want, what makes us happy, what makes us come alive. I was on in a room yesterday, and the conversation was some of the things that you want to pursue aren't always money related. You know, I think there's this idea that what makes me happy has to generate billions of dollars, and it doesn't. You know, what makes you happy can be very simple. The gentleman that was speaking was like, I just want to be on a farm. He was this guy that's made it, you know, that's generated multi-million dollars, and he's like, I'm happy with just a space, a farm, you know, that I can just kind of enjoy life and nature. So I think there is and that's wrong because he generated millions, right? But there's people that haven't yet and still just want those simple things, you know, what fulfills our heart. And we have to be happy and content with those moments, because society, like you guys mentioned, that has this pressure on us that tells us, or maybe somewhat directs us or changes how we see things or question ourselves. Just really question ourselves.
Mm-hmm. And I would like to add, does not have to be an either or, like joy or money, fulfill simplicity or money. I think that's a big issue. Is what about if we believed we could have it all, right? And because there are people out there that have simplicity and also have lots of money. And with money comes opportunity to change things. Money pays and changes things, right? Our efforts do, our energy does, but big fat donations to great causes really changes lots of things. And so the pursuit of money, I think, is a great pursuit. And especially when you can combine that with your passion, it's explosively fulfilling personally, and also very beneficial for the community. And the other thing that comes to mind right now is Marie Kondo, and there's a reason why her stuff just exploded. You know, I mean, literally, does it spark joy? Yes or no? Like, that's it, right? Go the way of sparking joy, period. That's where all the gold is. That's where the treasure is. That's also where the reckoning is.
It's beautiful, and I truly believe that. It's when we tap into that energy, when we're looking at ourselves and figuring out what we're doing every step of the way. It's like, if it brings you joy, people are going to gravitate towards you, no matter what, whether it's perfect or not. People think it has to be perfect. No, it doesn't. You just must be passionate about it. Because when we look at the Wright brothers, they weren't the first ones who brought the airplane out. They weren't. Yet they were the ones that were passionate about it. They were the ones who marketed. They were the ones who showed up over and over again. So that's what's fascinating. You know, how do we keep that fire alive inside of us, no matter what? How do you spark your own fire? Because it is not a result of an internal combustion. It's something that you must light yourself on fire. How do you do that? You know, as Cynthia mentioned, you do that through meditation. You do that through a self practice. You do that through a success practice. I get up and I dance and I do jumping jacks. If I'm stressed out, something's happening. It's like, okay, let's start dancing. If that's not working, I'm going to start doing jumping jacks. Whatever it takes to be in the most positive state of mind here and now.
Mm-hmm. And everybody deserves happiness. And everybody has access to happiness, because happiness is a choice. What happens is that we have blocks to our happiness. And those blocks show up as fear, resentment, anger, shame, insecurity. So to get to a place of happiness, you have to release all of your blocks. But happiness is free, people. You can have happiness.
And we all have blocks, and that's the whole thing. And especially we're saying, what blocks? There's some blocks there. We all have them. You know, we've all had our hurts. We all had our things that get in the way. Our job is to become so self-aware of what is it that's driving. Why do I not have what I desire? Because you can have all the time, energy, money, resources, education, networks. You can have everything at your fingertips. And it has nothing to do with that. It has everything to do with who are we being in this moment? Who do I believe I am? And most importantly, I've worked with individuals who make 70 million, lose it, make 10 million, lose it, make 2 million, lose it, over and over again in that perpetual roller coaster. At the end of the day, what they discover that they don't feel worthy. Is there something in there? because it is our feelings that hold us back, and the meaning that we have given those feelings of those memories that hold us back versus anything else. It has nothing to do with what we think it is.
I love that you brought that up, because
side.
You guys have touched on so many points, and that is the thing. What if there are people that don't feel worthy? Because that is the conversation, especially within the Hispanic community, and beyond. But the idea that we are not worthy, and Denise, like you said, to have both, you got to make a choice. Do you want peace and simplicity, or do you want to really, what does this take, and what kind of person, what must we be to accept the fact that we are worthy to attain this? And it's not bad. It's not ugly. It allows us to help others. It allows us to give back. It really allows us to make the impact that we want to make. So we have to own that worth, that idea that we can generate millions and do something special for the world and contribute soulfully, spiritually, and financially to make a difference and an impact.
And to be unapologetic about it, Sandra, right? To be unapologetic, like I am deserving of anything and everything, all the good in this world. I'm deserving of the money. I'm deserving of the impact. I'm deserving of living the life that I love and desire. I am deserving of it all.
Mm-hmm. So I think what's needed, like if there was something missing here, it would be the willingness to have the hard conversations. And Cynthia brought it up, like it's not the things that we need to work on are not where you think they are. And speaking of selfish, with what Rocio said, I'm probably the most selfish person you've ever met. I love that, because to me it screams, I make myself important, right? Something that I think that we can model. And
so sorry.
That's okay. That's okay. Yes. Hello.
Yes. We'll count it as some.
They're like, I am not even going to wait for this to end. I need to work with you.
Answering my call.
Like,
yes.
So I named my podcast the Selfish Latina Podcast, and it's controversial. People don't like it. Some people like, they either love it or they hate it. And the people that hate it, I got into this whole conversation with somebody. She's like, but why did you name it that? That's so negative. Why would you do that to us? Like the whole community, right? And I'm like, because of this. Because it deserves attention. This conversation deserves attention. And I'm going to name my podcast. I could name it anything I wanted, but I'm going to name it something that maybe will piss some people off, the people that need to be pissed off, so we can start looking at this as a community, because we're not prioritizing. And second point number 2 is being honest about the journey and being honest about, obviously I'm a storyteller, and there's an incredible liberation in sharing the truth about our life. And also it's an incredible gift to give somebody else that we all can admit that we all struggle with worthiness. It's part of our design. It's what we can't get away from it if we tried. We all struggle with it. People need to hear that. I didn't want to hear someone's bright, beautiful, shiny story with all of their success. I wanted to hear where they struggled. I wanted to hear when they doubted themselves. And I want to hear it especially when they have all the success, so that I can be validated. And I think if there's no greater gift than speaking the truth. And if our community can kind of own that and just say, yeah, you know what? I doubt myself daily. I grapple with worthiness. I grapple with depression. Come into my world. I'll share with you all the darkness, but I'll also share with you the tools I use to get out of it. And I'll also share with you the life I created despite it, or maybe even because of it. I think if there was something that we could add or something that I could leave everybody with, it would be that, especially if you consider yourself a leader, lead with the truth. People need to hear the truth, meaning everything. Like warts and all truth. And it's not something I wanted to share. I did not want to make a movie about my life. I ended up making a movie about my life, and it completely transformed me and lots of other people.
I love it. And I love the fact that you're talking about humanity, because that's what's missing in this world. We forget about that we're human. We forget that we need to be authentic. And we know when leaders are not authentic, when people are not authentic. There's always something that you have that feeling, like, what's going on? We need to be vulnerable. It's important to be vulnerable. It's important to be empathetic and connect with other individuals. And it's important to talk about our humanity. The days that leave it outside the door no longer work. What is going to take us to move us forward as a humanity, we're going to need to do that. We're going to need to bring that back in, to start sharing, to start empathizing, to start connecting, to start co-creating a world completely different than the one we've lived in.
And I agree with what everybody's saying, but I also think if we look around the circle today, what's the common denominator? We're fearless. You have to walk through your fears. Greatness is on the other side of your fears, but in addition to insecurity and not feeling worthy, fear is one of the number one things that holds people back. And so you just got to walk through those fears, and greatness is there. So I'm so excited. I mean, like, I love this conversation because it's like such amazing energy, amazing Latinas. I haven't met two of you before, but I'm like, I'm on the same wavelength, and I'm like, yes, we're multiplying it, and I'm just so excited.
Wonderful.
I love it. You guys have shared such valuable nuggets. I love you guys. I want to keep going. I know, Denise, you have to hop on, but we can stay on a couple more minutes if you can, because it's New Year's. So I wish I had hats or something. I got lights, guys. Yes. You got sparklers.
Before I go, I actually have a tool, because a lot of people ask me how I don't have fear. And I will tell you straight up, I'm terrified at some of the things that are on my goals list. I'm terrified. Like, make no mistake, I experience fear on the daily. I just have a great practice to transcend it. So I'd love to share it before I go. And it's very simple. So I want to implore people that are listening that we love Ina Garten, the Barefoot Contessa's recipes, because they're so simple. We love Beatles music. Mostly the best songs are major and minor chords, the easiest chords to play. This is a simple exercise, okay? What I do when I feel terrified, because I make crazy goals, because I made the impossible possible happen in my life. So I believe, and I have proof that it can happen. So what I do is, when I realize I'm succumbing to the fear, right? Because I'm experiencing fear, that's normal, I'm human, okay? What I do is I visualize myself as a little girl, and I go back to where this fear started. When did I last feel this fear? When was the first time that I experienced this? And I feel that little girl. Oftentimes she's under 10 years old, me at 10 or younger. And then I ask her what she needs. And she always needs my love. She always needs my love. And then I see, where is she? And she's often driving. We are in a car. I always put us in a car. And she is driving. She's 10 or younger, and she's driving. Not safe. And I'm her passenger, okay? So I stop the car, have her stop the car. I bust out some snacks. I have 2 daughters. I bust out some snacks. I give her the snacks. I give her a hug. This is all in my mind, a visualization. I give her that love. I experience that feeling. And then I take over. Mommy's driving now. We're going. And mommy's in control. And this exercise literally takes less than 5 minutes to do, but it restores my courage, right? Because we can never stop that feeling of fear, but we can restore the courage, and we can take that courageous act in our thoughts and then out in the world. So thank you so much for inviting me to be on. I love Rocio and Cynthia. You are amazing. I wrote your names down. I'd love to connect with you and continue a relationship with you. And Happy New Year to everyone. Thank you so much. Mwah.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
So I love that she brought that up, that it's the self-love, right? How do we have to embrace ourselves. We have to care for ourselves, where that's not common to do. We're always looking out for other people's interests, and partly selfish. I don't know. There's that's a deeper conversation we need to have probably, but it's embracing ourselves and forgiving ourselves, right? I think there's a lot of maybe unforgiveness that happens, or not acceptance I know for me, there was a like self-acceptance that I had to go through, like when I lost my mom, and just the regret in my life that of things that I didn't do. And that was in I lost her the first time when I was about 22. So that was in those years. 20 years later, I still carry that baggage. There are still certain circumstances where I think, am I worthy enough? Like did I love her enough? You know, like it's weird. Not weird. It's common, just baggage that I carry. So how do you feel considering that we're all carrying some form of baggage, right? We're all carrying some form of regret or resentment or guilt, or maybe unidentified baggage yet. How do you feel we can, first of all, identify that and accept that in our lives, and then say, you know, this was part of me. Now I have to do something with this, you know, because I can't live a life that is not you're just incapable of progress, right? If you're still holding on to a lot of pain and still stuck in that pit.
So this is exactly what I'm talking about in my first book, Releasing Your Emotional Baggage. And so what I recommend to people is, because you really think about where, and Denise mentioned where that emotion is coming from, what I suggest to people is that they journal and write it out. For example, in my life, I had issues with my father. And after he passed, what I did is I wrote him a letter. Obviously, I'm not going to send it to him because God had me to transition. I wrote all those emotions out. And then once I get it out on paper, I literally burn it. I use a white candle and burn it. And so that way I could literally see it go up in smoke. So there's a lot of ways of dealing with all these emotions. And all these emotions you're talking about are topics we can talk about it in different shows. I mean, forgiveness is powerful. Forgiveness not only for others, but forgiving yourself. I mean, there's all this insecurities, all the stuff that we could talk about, but it's really about, to me, releasing it so you can move on. And then in its place, what you put in is positive affirmations. Positive affirmations is, to me, a way of reprogramming your brain. So you're putting in, like, if you're not feeling worthy, you continually tell yourself, I'm worthy, I love myself. So positive release and positive affirmations are my recommendation. What do you think?
Beautiful. I think that's fantastic. And forgiveness is for ourselves. It's not for the other person, because it's what we think we're carrying with us. That other person may not even know what we're carrying. They have no idea, no clue. And it's also important, equally as important, to get somebody that can guide you through that process. Because from a neuro-linguistic programming, we can program ourselves. From a neuroscience programming, we hide from ourselves from a subconscious level because we fear change. It is natural. The job of the subconscious mind is to preserve and to protect the life of the individual. So there's that intelligence within us that is doing that constantly. What if somebody can guide us through a process where we can't hide? Because we can lie to ourselves. We can lie to people. We can lie in the mirror. Yet an individual who's trained, who can see it, who can help us break it and create the most extraordinary life that we could ever have, is a whole different animal. Somebody that can be generous and not really caring about themselves, because there's a difference, right? Advice only serves the person that gives it. That's when somebody's coaching us. And when somebody's actually guiding us through a process to help us discover, that's completely different. I've had individuals who 400% growth in their business because of it. They took it on. I wasn't concerned about my feelings of what was happening there or what to say or what not to say. It was a process. We followed it. We went through it, and we've seen the successes at the very end. People 10x results. Who wouldn't want 10x results in less than a year, right? What does that look like in our life when we can break through constantly? I break through every day. Every day I release something. Every day I'm aware of something new. Every day when I'm looking at myself, I'm like, wow, that is a different woman. That's a different woman than a year ago. That's a different woman than last week. Forget that, forget a year ago. Every day is a different day, and every moment is a new moment. We get to choose who we be. And I say it because there's a reason to say it that way. Who we be, who I choose to be in this moment, because who I am now is not who I came here to be. I came here to be loved. I came here to bring my gifts into this world. And when I can discover whatever gifts, even those gifts in adversity, I can go ahead and bring them out into this world. Because those gifts were given to me. They're not for me. They're for me to share.
And so what I just heard there is you got to do the work. And this work is not easy. This is not for the faint-hearted, because, working through your baggage is difficult stuff. It's emotional. And a lot of us bury it because we don't want to deal with the emotions. But once you work through it, you free yourself. You become free, and that paves the way for happiness.
Most definitely. Beautiful.
Yeah. Somebody asked, how do I deal with emotional baggage?
Be okay to cry. Be okay to take a look at that. Be okay to face yourself, to look in the mirror, to take a look, to transcend, to hire somebody, get somebody, be willing to put forth the price. Be willing to do whatever it takes to get to where you want to be. And there was moments that I remember walking around and I had a lot of emotional baggage. There was times that, yes, I never heard my parents say, I love you, you're worthy, you're this, and we're proud of you, or whatever. I would walk around and feed that to myself and help others do the same. I've been coaching for 25 years and looking what makes people tick, what makes them dance, what makes them excited. There's a lot of emotion that we carry. We carry emotions even in the music that we listen to. I don't typically watch TV, and I haven't for well over a decade. I pay attention to what I listen to because sounds have meaning, sights have meaning, and those things we have programmed into ourselves. We're not even aware that we've been programming ourselves in a positive or negative way. Most likely, the vast majority of the time that I've discovered, we're programming ourselves 70% negatively because we're borrowing from other people versus discovering what our own internal formula, what makes us tick. How do we release? Find somebody that can help you go through that process, because it's a very individual process. It is you. You're unique. You're the only one in this world. There's only one Sandra. There's only one Cynthia in this world. And there's a secret formula for Sandra and Cynthia to release that baggage. There's only one Rocio, and sometimes I say thank God for that, right? Because she is someday she's something else and really taking it to a different level. So be willing to do the work. Discover, read, listen to people who've been there, done that, and find somebody who can guide you through a journey, who's authentic in guiding, right? Because advice is one thing and guidance is a different story. They will help you find your secret formula, which is what we do as well.
I love that. I love that. Guys, it's been awesome. Thank you so much for this very special Women Wednesday. It's the new year, and I hope that all of us really take ownership of who we are and what we really want to do and what we really want to create. Just want to review some of the things we talked about. Gratitude. It's so important to be grateful for what was, what happened, and what will be. We have to be grateful for the fact that we can take a deep breath, because there are some people that can't right now. So, being grateful for the very, very little minute things, despite what your surroundings are, you will allow you to open your heart for greater things to be grateful for. So that's so important. Understanding what our goals are, our present goals. Rocio, you brought up business, and I want to go a whole other. We got to do this again. We're gonna. we got to do another one of these where we really talk about business tips and business ideas, because we all have goals for our business. And how do we apply mindset, which all of this is applicable to our mindset, where it's our human being process. But I would love to talk more. We'll get into business, but understanding our why and what are we doing? What are our goals that we want to achieve, and why? What makes us happy? What makes us tick? And I love that you had mentioned writing a letter. You can just writing a letter to your younger self, or writing a letter to the parent that you lost, or the loss, the person maybe that you have angst against. Yeah, that is so freeing. I'm gonna do that. I think when I lost my mom like 20 years ago, like I wrote a lot, I journaled a lot, but I think that this sounds refreshing. That I could talk to her through a letter, because spiritually we are all connected. So I love that idea, and I'm certainly gonna do it. And visualization and action, and owning our worth, owning the idea that we are worthy. And you are worthy enough to have both peace and joy and financial prosperity. Why not? It's up to us to create and manifest that in our lives. And we are energetic beings. We can create these things. So it's diligence, it's practice, it's focus, it's intention, and it's love, right? I think love is at the very core of all of that. Our heart has to be open to love and embracing life and people and connections. And I love you guys so much. Would you guys like to share anything before we go off air?
Most definitely. I believe that everything is at our fingertips. It is when we change who we're being, when we decide to be someone, and when the unfamiliar becomes more familiar than the familiar, then that's when life will change for us. When we start to program ourselves, because we're the only living creature in this world that has the ability to be able to reprogram ourselves and program ourselves to who we want to be. It will take time, it will take effort, and it will take commitment, right? There's a difference between being curious and interested, and there's a difference between being committed. We must be committed to have the world, to live in the world, to enjoy the world that we know is possible for us.
Love that.
And for me, I just want to let people know anything is possible. And right now, as we end 2020 and go into 2021, press the reset button and leave all the baggage behind and create your life. Create the life that you've always dreamed of. It's possible. So for 2021, my word is going to be resilience. I want everybody to be resilient, and I'm sending everybody love and light.
I love it. Thank you so much. Yes, it's the refresh, PTR. I think it's pull to refresh. We all need to pull to refresh right now our screens and reset. Thank you, guys. Thank you guys so much, you ladies, you beautiful souls. I love you so much, and we'll do this again because
Thank you so much.
All right, guys.